Have you read Psalm 137:9? God is literally telling you to be happy when you throw babies against stones. Is that really what's going on in this passage? So, for context, this psalm was created when Israel was captured, and the enemies of Israel, who are doing all these terrible things to them, asked them to sing. And thus this song is created. Now notice in verse 8, we are told what is going on. This is a revenge fantasy of the ancient Israelites who were captured. That's what this psalm is, which explains verse 9. What we have to remember about wisdom literature, and especially texts like Psalm 137:9 and others, is that these texts are different than what we find in the rest of the Hebrew Bible. Normally, God is speaking to people. However, in wisdom literature, people are speaking to and about God and about their circumstances in relation to all of that. That means that wisdom literature expresses the perspectives and ideas and concepts of the author. And if you've read many of the Psalms, especially, you will know that the wisdom literature often expresses the whole breadth of human emotion and experience. Sometimes humans are vengeful, sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're really depressed, sometimes they're really happy. And especially in the Psalms, you see all of that. Wisdom encourages the reader to model the posture of challenge and skepticism when seeking after God. It meets each reader wherever they are at in their spiritual journey. So just because something like Psalm 137:9 is in the Bible doesn't necessarily mean it has God's approval, or far less that it's God's command. Not only does the context not bear that out, the genre of the text also does not bear that out. That said, though, there is an interpretive question that we do need to ask ourselves, because this is in the Bible, whether we like it or not. Now, again, given the genre and historical context of this psalm, this is not a problem for the Christian faith. However, there is still the question of, how does this psalm apply to the church? Because we are not in that historical context, and the kind of revenge fantasy that is being talked about here is not the kind of ethic that we, especially as Christians, want to emulate, especially when we're following Jesus, who is on the border of pacifism if he's not a pacifist, at least in his earthly ministry. I think that a applicable point of this psalm is that you are allowed to express your emotions. You should be able to express your emotions. To other people in community, absolutely, that's a very healthy thing to do when done right, at least. But especially to God. That doesn't mean stay in that revengeful state, but I think that God wants us to express the width of our emotions to Him, even when they're ugly. Comment your thoughts on this psalm and make sure you follow for more content like this.